Welcome to ILTV's Israel Daily. I'm Amit Harari, and coming up in today's newscast. Noah Argamani's fate hangs in the balance as Hamas confirms the deaths of 2 more hostages in captivity. Marathon 24-hour cabinet session approves a record 582 billion shekel budget, addressing war debt. IDF surged amidst dramatic ministerial dissent. And Shin Bet unmasks sophisticated and dangerous Iranian social media network targeting Israelis and hostage families. Day 102 of the war in Gaza, and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant says the intensive phase of the ground offensive in northern Gaza has ended and says it will soon end in the Khan Yunis area of the Strip South as well. ILTV's Steve Leibovich has more.
The war in Gaza is transitioning to a lower intensity phase, allowing some troops to be withdrawn. In northern Gaza, the IDF defeated all of Hamas's battalions in the area. In the south of the Gaza Strip, the intensive phase will end soon. That's the message from Defense Minister Gallant, but he did not give a timeline.
ציינו את שלבי הביצוע והבהרנו כי שלב התמרון האינטנסיבי יימשך כ3 חודשים. בצפון הרצועה השלב הזה יסתיים. בדרום הרצועה נגיע להישג הזה והוא יסתיים בקרוב, ובשני המקומות יגיע הרגע שנעבור לשלב הבא.
Gallant said the military operations are continuing with a focus on Hamas leadership believed to be in Khan Yunis. He rejected the notion of a ceasefire and said the fate of the hostages depended on maintaining military pressure. The defense minister said considerations are being weighed on what will be in Gaza after the war.
בעזה חיים פלסטינים, ולכן ישלטו בפלסטינים בעתיד. השלטון העתידי בעזה חייב לצמוח מתוך רצועת עזה ולהתבסס על כוחות שאינם עוינים את מדינת ישראל ומהווים אלטרנטיבה אזרחית שדואגת לרווחתם של תושבי עזה ולא לרעתם של תושבי מדינת ישראל.
With the intensity of the war declining, the IDF began to withdraw its 36th division from Gaza, leaving 3 other divisions fighting Hamas in the Strip. The withdrawal of the division comes as part of the IDF's plan for a long war against Hamas, as well as a potential war against the Hezbollah in the north. Meanwhile, the largest barrage of incoming rocket fire into Israel in weeks. More than 50 rockets were fired from Gaza toward the Netivot area. There was a direct hit in the city and a building was damaged, but there were no reports of injuries.
They deny the kidnapping of our children, the murder of our grandchildren, the rape of our daughters. The new Nazis we face today will stop at nothing to destroy civilization as we know it. The World Jewish Congress was created exactly for these times like this, so every Jew can fall asleep at night knowing they are safe in their own home. We are a voice for the Jewish people everywhere. We are the World Jewish Congress.
Hamas claimed responsibility for the combined ramming and stabbing attacks in Ra'anana yesterday afternoon, murdering 1 woman and wounding over a dozen people. A terrorist stabbed a woman while another terrorist stole a car and proceeded to carry out ramming attacks in several locations in the city. The terrorists swapped vehicles 3 times after crashing. Terrorists were Mohammed Zaidat, 44, and Ahmed Zaidat, 24, both from Hebron, and were later arrested. And joining us now is International Police spokesperson Master Sergeant Dean Elsdan. The attack in Ra'anana, Dean, was the first big attack inside Israel since the start of the war in Gaza. How, if at all, can we protect ourselves, or is it even possible?
So it's a great question. It's the first big attack since the war, but it's not the first attack that was attempted. The police and the border police are working around the clock, night and day. They're working overt and covert. We have so many special units and so many units that deal with technology and intelligence who are thwarting attacks. I can just give an example. Just a few days ago, the border police in Jerusalem stopped 2 members of ISIS who had affiliation to the ISIS terror organization inside of Jerusalem, just a few miles away from the old city. They found books where they had instructions on how to create bombs and do things of the sort. We were able to stop them, preventing a much larger attack from happening. This is just a drop in the bucket. This is what the police and the border police are doing around the clock. We're working with the Shin Bet, with the IDF. Everybody has the same goal right now. It's not a secret that we're in a state of war, but what I can tell you is that together with the civilians, we increase our vigilance, we pay attention to anything suspicious, and we alert the police. We're going to be able to protect ourselves a lot better if we act responsibly.
Dean, the two terrorist suspects entered Israel by car from Hebron. Did they not have working papers to be in Israel? I mean, how many Palestinians from the territories are in Israel at any given time, and why isn't their entry during this war prevented? I mean, how come?
So I don't want to get into the details, neither of the politics of if they're allowing people or not allowing people. There are people who are allowed to be in Israel with work permits. The suspects that we're talking about, though, were in Israel illegally. And this is something that the police, together with the Shin Bet, are going to figure out how they got here so that we can stop it from taking place in the future, but also to make sure that we arrest anybody that was involved in bringing them inside of Israel. We're going to do everything possible to keep our people safe. If that includes making sure that anyone who assisted them, knowingly or not knowingly, is going to be brought in for questioning.
Dean, it does not appear that this was an attack coordinated by Hamas. Rather, it was individuals deciding to kill Jews for the cause. Is there also a growing possibility that armed attacks will be attempted next?
Listen, this is Israel, and unfortunately, we've seen no shortage of armed attacks against civilians or security forces. But that's why we're putting out more police officers and more border police officers in the streets to make sure that we have a heavy presence, which thwarts anybody from trying to commit an attack. And in the event that attack does take place, we're going to be right there. You saw the attack in Ra'anana. The police were able to close in on the net and make sure that we capture both the terrorists that were involved in the attack. Hamas is praising these types of attacks, and that just goes to speak to what kind of organization we're dealing with. We're dealing with people who want nothing more than to harm civilians. And us, as the police and the border police, want nothing more than to protect them. Because these are our families. I might be wearing this uniform and the officers might wear a uniform, but at the end of the day, we're defending our home. We're defending our loved ones. And we're going to stop at nothing to make sure that they're safe.
That's a really strong message. Dean, right before the interview started, you told me you're in Kfar Aza right now. What does it look like
Correct.
now? What's your main activity there?
So right now, we're bringing a lot of delegations here to see the aftermath of October 7th. What a lot of people might not know is that the first responders here to Kfar Aza were actually police and border police forces. Units of 33, a special unit of the police, HAMAS, a special unit of counterterrorism in the border police. They were here making sure that we can get civilians to safety. We were battling the terrorists. So we're bringing delegations here to show, one, what Hamas is all about. Show them the atrocities that they committed, but two, show them why it took so long for security forces to get to certain people. People were inside of their safe rooms, a room that's supposed to protect them from rockets, and on October 7th was used to protect them against terrorists. And our security forces had to go house by house, some of them that were booby-trapped, in order to pull them to safety, but also to take out any of the terrorists that were swarming into residential communities along the Gaza border, which is right behind me a few kilometers away.
In 3 months, and I can only imagine how hard it is. Thank you so much for joining us today, and stay
Absolutely.
safe.
Thank you, guys.
Hamas continues with its psychological warfare, and this time released footage of Noa Argamani announcing the deaths of 2 of her fellow hostages. ILTV's William Sharon reports.
Hamas confirmed on Monday the deaths of hostages Yossi Sharabi, 53, and Itai Salvisky, 38, while Noa Argamani, 26, reportedly remains alive. The announcement was made through a video featuring Argamani, where she reported the tragic fate of her fellow hostages. The revelation follows a series of teased announcements by Hamas regarding the fate of 3 Israelis. The IDF says there was a serious concern regarding the fate of the hostages who were reported to be dead in a video released by Hamas. But the contrary to their claim, one of them was not killed by Israeli fire.
איתי לא נורא על ידי כוחותינו, זהו שקר של חמאס. הבניין בו הוחזקו, לא היה מטרה, והוא לא הותקף על ידי כוחותינו. לא ידענו בזמן אמת את מיקומם, אנחנו לא תוקפים במקום בו ידוע לנו שייתכן ויש בו חטופים. בדיעבד, אנחנו יודעים שתקפנו מטרות סמוכות לאיתור בו הם הוחזקו.
Itai Salvisky, tragic story involves the murder of his mother Orit and father Rafi, along with their 3 golden retrievers during the Hamas massacre on October 7th. Yossi Sharabi and the boyfriend of his daughter Yuval, Ophir Engel, had also been kidnapped from the kibbutz. 17-year-old Ophir was returned during the first round of the hostage exchanges. Noor Argamani's well-being remains uncertain, and the recently released video is yet to be verified. Her mother, Liora Argamani, battling stage 4 brain cancer, has made public appeals, including a letter to U.S. President Joe Biden, and even reached out to Chinese President Xi Jinping through Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. In her Christmas plea, Liora implored for the chance to hug her daughter one last time, emphasizing Noah's love for life and her family.
Yes, this is an unimaginable reality, and we have to pray to get them home soon.
Experience the power of truth with ILTV News. If you're looking for quality content and captivating visuals, join our news community and become an integral part of our team as we embark on a mission to unveil the real Israel, dismantling the web of lies and misinformation that surround reporting on Israel. By subscribing to ILTV News, you will not only have access to the latest updates, but you will also amplify our message, creating a ripple effect that carries the truth far and wide. Subscribe today and help reshape the narrative. Available on the web, Android, and Apple.
And on security development, an IDF soldier was wounded late Monday in a firefight with apparent drug smugglers along the Egyptian border, and the Houthis have renewed attacks on commercial shipping in the Red Sea. And ALTV's Steve Leibovich has more.
The challenges to Israeli security have been many since the start of the war with Gaza. The quietest border had been that of Israel and Egypt, running between the Negev and the Sinai. That quiet was broken when some 20 smugglers, some armed, arrived at the Nitzana area in an apparent attempt to smuggle narcotics into Israel. Troops engaged in a gun battle with the suspects, hitting several of them. One of the soldiers was reportedly hurt during the exchange of fire and was taken to hospital. She is reported in good condition. After the shootout, Egyptian media reported that 6 smugglers were arrested on the Egyptian side of the border. The Nitzana crossing is over 40 kilometers from Gaza. Goods are inspected at Nitzana before being allowed to enter the Strip. Meanwhile, the Houthi rebels have renewed attacks on commercial shipping, firing a missile at a U.S.-owned ship just off the coast of Yemen in the Gulf of Aden. They also launched an anti-ship cruise missile toward an American destroyer in the Red Sea. The attack on the Gibraltar Eagle further escalates tension gripping the Red Sea after American-led strikes on the rebels. The ship reported no injuries or significant damage and continued on its journey. U.S.-led strikes over the weekend hit 28 locations and struck more than 60 targets with cruise missiles and bombs launched by fighter jets, warships, and a submarine. Sites in Yemen included weapon depots, radar, and command centers, including in remote mountainous areas.
In a dramatic 24-hour session, the Israeli cabinet greenlit a bold 2024 budget surge, swelling to a staggering 582 billion shekels, addressing critical sectors like debt repayment and a boost to the IDF. In a marathon session lasting almost 24 hours, the Israeli cabinet approved the 2024 budget, marking a significant increase to approximately 582 billion shekels. This surge, amounting to nearly 70 billion shekels, addresses various sectors, including debt repayment related to the recent war and a substantial boost to the IDF. The Finance Ministry revealed that the augmented budget includes provisions for supporting IDF reservists and their families, enhancing the public mental health system, rehabilitating the Gaza border area, and backing the high-tech and real estate sectors. To accommodate this increase, the Finance Ministry announced a 6.6% budget deficit for 2024. The remainder will be covered by reductions in the budgets of all government ministries, accompanied by tax hikes, notably on bank profits. The budget will now proceed to the Knesset as a government-sponsored bill and will go through 3 votes in the Knesset plenum and the Knesset Finance Committee. The process is expected to unfold over the next several weeks. The cabinet meeting was marked by dramatic moments. Education Minister Yoav Kish, Communications Minister Shlomo Kari, and National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir expressed dissatisfaction. Opposition parties, including the National Unity Party and Yesh Atid, criticized the budget for not reflecting necessary changes in priorities and overlooking the war's repercussions. The amended budget, despite facing internal dissent, garnered approval from the cabinet and will now undergo the legislative process in the Knesset. Yes, and now this. An Iranian web infiltrating Israel via popular social media platforms, Telegram, Instagram, was discovered by Israeli intelligence. These fake platforms were used for various dangerous purposes, and ILTV's William Sharon has the details.
Israel's Shin Bet internal intelligence has uncovered a sophisticated Iranian network targeting Israelis for covert missions via popular social media platforms. According to the Shin Bet, Telegram and Instagram accounts under Iranian management have amassed thousands of followers. These platforms were allegedly used for recruiting individuals to gather intelligence on national security officials and media figures critical of the Islamic Republic. Disturbingly, this strategy extended to the activities targeting families of hostages held in Gaza. Iran's security agencies utilized these platforms to organize gatherings near the homes of hostage families, sending bouquets and messages. They further encouraged protesters displaying banners created by Iranians and promoting users to participate in surveys. These surveys, however, were a guise to collect personal information and qualifications, potentially for use in executing security missions. In response, Shin Bet emphasized its collaboration with other security agencies, actively monitoring and countering any activities that pose a threat to Israel's security. The intelligence agency asserted its commitment to exposing and undermining Iranian attempts to conduct terrorist activity within Israeli territory.
The wild Turkish soccer drama is meanwhile coming to an end as Israeli soccer player Sagiv Yechezkel landed in Israel to the happy cheers of many fans after long hours under Turkish investigation.
שמח אותי לראות את כולם כאן, אני באמת שמח להגיע לארץ, חיכיתי לנחות וזהו, אני שמח להיות כאן.
Israeli soccer player Sagiv Yechezkel found himself at a center of a diplomatic storm after a bold act of solidarity during a game in Turkey. The former Antalya Spor player sparked a diplomatic incident by wearing an armband with the words 100 days and a Star of David symbolizing support for the 136 hostages in Gaza. Upon his return to Israel, Yechezkel expressed his love for his homeland, emphasizing that there is no place like Israel in the whole world. Greeted at Ben Gurion International Airport with a warm embrace, flowers, and an Israeli flag, he was hailed as a hero by cheering fans. While diplomatic relations between Jerusalem and Ankara had seen a period of improvement before the war, Yechezkel's detention highlighted the fragility of the situation. Efforts by Israel's Foreign Ministry and Security Services, including strong words from Foreign Minister Israel Katz and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, were instrumental in securing the player's release. Meanwhile, Eden Katzev, a second Israeli soccer player, was detained in Turkey after sharing a post that called for the release of the Israeli hostages on social media. Playing for Istanbul Başakşehir football club since last year, Katzev was interrogated by Turkish police and released after his statement was taken. Katzev, just like Yechezkel, will also leave Turkey back to Israel. In the wake of the October 7 Hamas attacks on Israel, Grammy Award-winning hip-hop violinist Miri Ben-Ari orchestrated a powerful response through music. Her production, Symphony of Brotherhood, seeks to, among many other things, combat anti-Semitism and hatred. And she's joining us now. Miri, what a beautiful idea. What inspired you to create this unique fusion in response to the October 7 Hamas massacre on Israel?
Well, music sometimes can serve when words fail us. And we know that words failed us more than we ever imagined in light of October 7th and the wave of anti-Semitism. We are trying to fight this wave of hate, not only in Israel, but all over the world. There is so much hate and false narrative against Jews and the Jewish community. There's so much division. Everyone needs to pick a side, something that I never imagined I would have to experience in my lifetime. And so since music is what I know, music is the universal language. Music crosses between cultures, religions, geographical places, and can maybe even open conversations that are not possible otherwise. I utilize that vehicle, that power to reach out, to fight hate, to fight racism, anti-Semitism, and bring some unity and love and light to this world right now.
Miri, I totally agree with you, and we're seeing you guys in the background. Now, your aim is to really combat rising anti-Semitism, as you said, right? I mean, especially among younger people, fueled by social media trends. Do you see any change? I mean, what response of people hearing not only your creations, but also the meaning behind them and message you're conveying? What messages are you getting? What are you hearing?
The response is phenomenal. Everyone that has been through Symphony of Brotherhood experience said that they feel uplifted, they feel together, they feel that more able to put differences aside and come together as one. On February 1st, Symphony of Brotherhood, myself, are kicking off Black History Month in New York City, in the public school, in front of thousands of high school students. And you mentioned before social media trends. This is where it starts, and this is where the conversation needs to take place. So I am so honored, humble, privileged, and excited to start Black History Month in the public schools of New York City. And I hope to do more shows and open more conversation and fight more hate and anti-Semitism.
That's beautiful, and I think it really all starts with education. And we're speaking of the younger generation. You've collaborated with artists like Kanye West, right, Jay-Z and Alicia Keys, the first one being somewhat problematic these days. How is it working with artists like these? They're all huge talents, that for sure. Are they aware of your project? I mean, do they know what it's about, what they say? How is it?
You know, first of all the artists that I've worked with are part of my journey, and you cannot change your journey. I mean, these collaborations with Alicia Keys, John Legend, Kanye West, Jay-Z, Donna Summer, Janet Jackson, Flo Rida, and so many artists, these collaborations made me the artist that I am today. And so I'm taking this experience and bringing it to Symphony of Brotherhood. I'm here on a mission to fight anti-Semitism. I cannot really listen to what everyone is saying. I know that my intentions are good, and I hope that whoever is listening would join me in this movement.
Now, looking ahead, you mentioned actively combating hate and promoting unity. What are some of your future plans to continue doing that really so beautifully? It's really impressive.
Yes, so just as I mentioned, we're starting performing this in the public school in New York City, which is exactly the age that should be having these conversations. And I'm collaborating with the Black Gospel Choir, Black music. This is what I've been doing my entire career. And so I am doing a fusion of cultures on stage to show them, the young people, that the same way that we get along and we create love on stage with music, this is possible in any environment, in any human being environment. And we're making sure also to make this show very interactive. As you can see in the videos that you're showing right now, the audience is singing with us. This show that you're showing is from Dr. Martin Luther King Day in New Jersey. I was performing on behalf of the New Jersey Israel Commission to the governor, and it was so filled with people from every culture, different politicians, spiritual leaders attended, from pastors to rabbis to congressmen, senators. It was, everyone came to grace this initiative and wish us the best of luck on this very challenging mission.
I'm sure it's really challenging, and if I may, Israel is looking for its Eurovision representative every year, and I think this could be a beautiful thing there. Thank you so much, Miri, for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
And now let's take a look at the weather forecast. Partly cloudy skies are expected around most of the country tonight, with lows of around 9 degrees Celsius or 47 degrees Fahrenheit. Then tomorrow we will have partly cloudy skies and temperatures at highs of 19 degrees Celsius or 66 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's all for today's news. For more updates from Israel on all your devices, check out our ILTV channel, subscribe to our ILTV newsletter, and of course, do not forget to check out our new and improved website, ILTV.tv, with all of the latest news from the heart of the State of Israel. I'm Amit Harari. Stay safe, and thank you so much for watching.